My first video on this channel was titled A Young Optimus Written Well, and featured one of my favorite thumbnails I've made in the history of this channel, featuring Prime from issue number 2 and the word naive. Now in that video, I'm not saying that Optimus is stupid or childish, but rather he is a younger character than we're used to. He still has many years on him, of course, and we learn from later issues in the comic that he has lived a dark and violent life on Cybertron, but he is still younger than the Primes we've come to know. He's not yet the wise, fatherly figure we are used to, but rather more of a new parent in a way, trying not to only survive but keep those around him safe. So, because we are now at the end of Daniel Warren Johnson's run on Transformers, with issue 24 just coming out a little while ago, why don't we take a look at the full journey of Optimus through Transformers Skybound, issues 1, all the way to issue 24. In Volume 1 of Transformers Skybound, Optimus is a mess, and he doesn't really ever get better during this run. Freshly awoken from years of warfare, Optimus does not even get a second to rest. From the moment his optics blink on, he's in the heat of battle. Starscream has begun ransacking the Ark and the downed Autobot soldiers, something that will immediately affect Optimus as he cradles the body of his friend and fellow soldier, Bumblebee. Jetfire is another casualty in this volume that I think people often gloss over simply because of Bee's death, but this moment hits even harder for me because we get to see the root cause of Optimus's pain. He blames himself for everything, and because of this self-blame, he feels the need to fix it at any cost. Ratchet and Optimus clash often during this first volume, as the Matrix is constantly dangled in front of us as a reset button for our heroes. Ratchet knows that Prime means well, but he argues that if they use the Matrix to save one life, they would lose the most important life, Optimus. Of course, in a noble manner, Prime rejects the idea of himself as being the most important, even if deep down inside, he knows it to be true. Optimus's role as a father figure is brought to the forefront of this series as he forms a bond with Spike Witwicky, who is suffering from his own biological father being somewhat absent. These two characters quickly bond over the shared concept of family, as neither really have much in common other than, well, the loss of a loved one. The rift between Spike and his father Sparky is self-inflicted by both sides, and it's opened up even further when Sparky begins to hunt down the Autobots, thinking them to be responsible for killing his co-worker Danny, who happens to be Carly's father. This conflict between all three characters is brought together when Optimus risks his life and his own arm to save not only Spike, but all the humans present during a fight with Skywarp. Sparky demands that Optimus stays away from his son, but Optimus refuses, and instead takes it upon himself to yet again fix the problem that he feels responsible for. There's not much time for Sparky and Optimus to get to know each other in the moments following Spike's injury. However, the shared sense of responsibility is what allows them to work together despite not knowing each other at all. The scenes at the hospital might go down in Transformers history as some of the most iconic imagery ever, as Optimus sacrifices the Matrix to save Spike and everyone else in need. "No more death," Optimus declares, a simple yet effective line. It's this moment of sacrifice that not only brings forth conflict between Optimus and Ratchet, but also brings unity with Sparky. Since the start of this book, we've been seeing parallels to Optimus and Sparky's memory of the war, both veterans of conflict that have forever changed them. The conversation between Optimus and Sparky is why Volume 1 will always be my favorite of the bunch, as Optimus says he wishes he knew why there had to be so much death. Sparky's war ended years ago, but he's still fighting deep down inside. The Cybertronian war still rages on, but Optimus now worries if it will ever end. And if it does, will he also struggle endlessly like his new human friend? Is he destined to forever struggle against the forces of evil? Perhaps what he needs to topple the Decepticon army is a bit of their own firepower. Optimus emerges to show Cliffjumper, Jazz, and Ratchet that he is ready to take the fight to the Decepticons. And just as the Autobots begin their attack on the Ark, Optimus realizes far too late that this was a trap all along. Devastator is here, and he is ready to destroy. Optimus is immediately beaten down to bits and is hauled away by his team inside the Ark. His wounds are too severe to be taken care of, and as he speaks his final apology, the matrix of leadership, empty from saving the hospital, falls to the floor with a heavy thud. Sparky, now imbued with a sense of hope from his talk with Prime, walks into the Matrix and sacrifices his own life to save Optimus and ultimately Spikes. Optimus awakens, fully restored, and turns the tide of the battle, defeating Devastator and saving the Ark. And in another glimpse into who Optimus is, after this final battle, he offers a hand of peace to Soundwave. So much destruction has occurred, and for what? Soundwave considers, but ultimately rejects this offer, as Optimus stands atop the Ark knowing that the battle is far from over. Just as we learned earlier in this volume, small creatures, small moments can be mighty. This is why Sparky walked into the Matrix. Optimus had told him that yes, he is small, but he is mighty. Volume 2 kicks off with some heavy visuals showing us the war-torn world of Cybertron. And while Optimus is not present here, one character in particular is who will act as an antagonist for his journey. But we'll get there. Optimus has other issues right now, such as his visions of another life. We know now, because of later issues, that Prime is suffering from two ailments, one being the corruption of Megatron's arm, and two being visions from Sparky's past, now that he is one with the Matrix. We get a very important moment wherein Optimus pities the ultimate fate of Skywarp, who has been grafted into the Ark's system, Teletran 1. Skywarp may be an enemy combatant, but he is a fellow Cybertronian, and all life is sacred to Optimus. After an argument and a poorly aimed RPG, we get a glimpse into the past as RC explains to Carly that Optimus may hide his struggles, but they span a chasm that no one could ever trek. And those struggles are not done expanding as Jetfire awakens and laments his own revival. Optimus sits with a blinded Jetfire, trying to console his friend, questioning if he has done the right thing by bringing him back from the dead, albeit not as a whole bot. As the Autobots mount their assault against the Decepticons, Optimus's luck is once again shot to pieces as he watches his closest friend Ratchet get executed by the mad Decepticon scientist Shockwave. The portal used by Shockwave is commandeered, however, and outsteps Optimus's newest ally, and soon to be his newest detractor, Elita 1, with the mangled body of Ultra Magnus. Elita turns the tide of the battle momentarily, allowing her to escape alongside Optimus and Magnus, but not without sacrificing Cliffjumper and Jazz. This is where we begin to see a new conflict arise, as Optimus tries his hardest to save every one of his Autobots, but Elita is willing to sacrifice life in order to survive another day. Cliffjumper is a casualty of Optimus and Elita's internal conflict, and he'll be stuck in this cycle for a while, but we need to focus on Optimus. Without a doubt, the relationship between Optimus and Elita on display in the series has been some of the most controversial decisions made. I, for one, really enjoy that these two characters are not just lovers, but rather generals who disagree with each other in almost every single fundamental aspect. Elita views Optimus as weak and unable to make hard decisions. Not only that, he has also abandoned his home for a new one, which Shockwave will absolutely bleed dry just as he did with Cybertron. Optimus is going through enough. Bumblebee, Sparky, Ratchet and Jetfire, they're all gone to some extent, and to his knowledge, Jazz and Cliffjumper will be next. All of these lives weigh heavy on his spark, not to mention the issues he's dealing with in regards to his own infection. Alita is another thorn in his side, reminding him of his failures, but also trying to draw out the old version of him, an even younger Optimus, one full of rage and foolishness, one with no compassion and little heart. Alita is not a villain in this story, but she is an antagonist to Optimus, and she won't be swayed any other way. After a somewhat failed attempt to rescue Cliffjumper and Jazz, Optimus and his team are face to face with Shockwave, but backup is on the way. Ultra Magnus and Wheeljack step out into battle, turning the tide of the conflict, until, that is, Magnus spots Shockwave and is driven to run away out of fear. Optimus is yet again face to face with a dilemma that he blames himself for. He should have never let Magnus step foot on the battlefield. The culmination of all of these stressors on Optimus is the return of his old self. Driven by rage and also the infection of Megatron's arm, Optimus lays waste to the Combaticons on Cybertron and sets his focus against Shockwave, crushing the mad scientist's heads between his hands. Alita welcomes back the Optimus she knew so long ago, but Cliffjumper recognizes that something is very wrong. Optimus is sick, and that sickness is changing him in a way no one can comprehend fully. But the space bridge between Earth and Cybertron is still active, and Alita is determined to save her home, even at the cost of Earth. This is Optimus's greatest conflict within this first story arc. His battle against Skywarp, Devastator, and Shockwave are brutal, yes, but nothing hurts him more than what he must do to Alita. He knows in his spark that sacrificing Earth to save his home is not the answer, and he knows that no matter what he says or does, Alita will never agree with him. The art alone does Optimus and his emotions justice, as he raises his enemy's cannon to destroy the last hope for Cybertron and what remains of his relationship with Alita. Optimus chooses between Earth and Cybertron, and he does not choose Alita. As the space bridge closes and Optimus falls towards Earth alongside a piece of Cybertron, he accepts his fate, not in satisfaction that he has saved his friends, but that he has made the right choice. Beachcomber swings in to save the day, however, and what should be a beautiful moment is contrasted by Prime's lasting words as he watches new chaos unfold. What have I done? Volume 3 gives us a little break from the madness by focusing on Starscream's origin in the first two issues, but Optimus still has more pain to go through, which will eventually lead to his growth, of course. At this point in the story, we've more so been told that Optimus was once a brash killing machine rather than shown, and usually this would be a knock against the storytelling, but I think it's been done with reason. Optimus has a great moment with RC following the end of Volume 2, where the two discuss rage and anger. RC has let her guard down and allowed her emotions to get the best of her, and it might have cost Cliffjumper his life, as they are unaware of his status. Optimus also gets another wonderful moment here with Beachcomber, who refuses to join the fight after taking an oath of peace. Optimus does not chastise Beachcomber, nor does he entirely disagree with his beliefs, but rather he respects them and wishes the group's safety on their journey to recover Ultra Magnus. As per usual though, Optimus cannot be allowed to have rest for too long, as his visions of Spike, the infectious arm of Megatron, and an unwelcoming group of humans set him off on a violent rage. As I said earlier, we don't need flashbacks to show us the old Optimus because he's right here in front of us. The rage and violence that Alita 1 so desperately needed and that Optimus so desperately left behind still exists. Deep in Optimus's spark, there is still a part of him from that old war, and it's being drawn out by the very entity that most likely created it. In the midst of the destruction of Tacoma, Washington, Optimus prepares himself for battle against Starscream and the Combaticons, only to be comically confused when the real conflict is between Decepticon factions that have formed over leadership squabbles. During this conflict, the Autobots are mainly cast aside as the Decepticons fall to infighting, but there's still plenty of stress for Optimus as he races around trying to save what he can of the city. During this, Optimus is yet again struck with visions and a fit of rage, causing him to blow Tacoma's dam to pieces. Optimus already blamed himself for so much of the turmoil humanity has been put through in the series, but now he actually is directly responsible for more damage than good. Thankfully, a newly revived Trailbreaker is able to help save some of the nearby humans. We get some insight as to why Optimus left Cybertron, though, all those years ago from Cliffjumper, who was stranded with Alita and her ragtag group of survivors. Optimus didn't run away because he was a coward, or he had gone soft, as Alita would claim, but rather he took to the stars to try and find a new way of survival after realizing the conflict he was so entrenched in would never end. Cybertron was lost, and a new way of life needed to be found. That new way of life has yet to materialize, sadly, as Optimus and his Autobots help the humans of Seattle escape as the Decepticon Civil War makes its way towards the city. Optimus may still be corrupted, and the humans may still not know of his intentions, and yet he still does his best to protect the innocent. Rather than fighting to try and stop the Combiner battle, he uses his resources to save those who might be caught in the crossfire. While he is successful in the task, the damage is still done to Seattle, and Optimus feels the weight once again settling on his spark. Untold damage, countless lives lost, strange visions of Spike, corruption leading to fits of anger. What more could Optimus possibly endure during this time of unrest? Well, unfortunately, the return of Megatron, of course. It's been a very long time coming, but Spike and Optimus are finally able to speak on what's happened between them since Volume 1. Issue 20 is my favorite issue of this entire series, and that's because we get to see the most amount of growth from Optimus. Growth comes only through pain, and even still, Optimus has moments of doubt. There is no answer to Spike's heartbreaking question of if his father still lives within the Matrix, and Optimus begins to doubt his own abilities. This conversation between man and machine mirrors the iconic moment from Volume 1, where the two sit together. Only this time, rather than Optimus giving Spike reassurances, it's the other way around. Optimus fears the darkness that overtook him in the old war has returned, and that there is no way to reach the light. But Spike, ever the optimist, reminds Prime that there is always light to be found. There is always a sunrise to fight for, whether on Earth or on Cybertron. And that light is found quickly as the aerial bots show up with Jetfire in order to assist in the coming battle against the newly resurrected Megatron. Shortly after this, we finally get confirmation of what we've assumed for so long. Megatron's arm is in fact infecting Optimus and the Matrix of Leadership. The Matrix, we're told, should be restoring its own power slowly after being used to save the hospital in Volume 1, but the corruption inside of Optimus is stopping it. Before much more can be deduced, though, the Decepticons are here to make Optimus's life even more of a living hell. But there's danger not only outside of the Autobots' ranks, but also from within. The corruption of Megatron's arm is taking its full effect, and Optimus slowly turns his fusion cannon on his friends. Optimus demands that his fellow soldiers shoot the arm off, which they reluctantly do, bringing Optimus to the edge of his life once again. Megatron retrieves his arm and is whole. The Autobots suffer more casualties, and Optimus is yet again on the back foot. Amidst all of this chaos, however, more help is on the way, as the Doctor and fellow humans that the Autobots had saved from Volume 1 come to aid them. But further than that, there's a moment that I thought we'd never see in this series. It's not the fact that Spike walks the same path that his father did by entering the Matrix to save Optimus. At this moment I could see coming, and I did cheer for it, but rather, it was the visuals of Optimus entering the Hall of Primes that truly caught me off guard. This moment may be brief, but it is beautiful. Contrasting this moment is a scene with Megatron that I want to touch base on, as it gives us more context to Optimus and his past. See, in Volume 1 we get that iconic scene of Optimus stepping on a deer and lamenting its death. The symbolism is quite striking, and famously writer Daniel Warren Johnson had to fight to keep this in. The deer obviously represents innocence, and in a way the human race, as Optimus brings his war to their beautiful planet. Optimus tenderly cares for this creature and is regretful for his godlike powers on this planet, even going so far as to say that he did not realize how fragile this place was. It's an incredibly powerful moment with Optimus, and later Spike, as he reassures Optimus that it was only an accident. Spike later sees a deer in Volume 2, and it's what convinces him and Beachcomber to return to save Optimus. But it is Megatron who completes this analogy when he discovers Optimus's makeshift grave for the deer and destroys it. My good friend Moonbase3 has a dedicated video on this topic that you absolutely need to watch, so I'll be brief here. Megatron's outrage is not because he hates the deer or organic life, but rather, he hates that Optimus would take the time to bury innocent life. Optimus is weak in Megatron's eye because he doesn't have the spark to do the hard things in life. He didn't have the spark to do what was necessary for Cybertron's survival. Now, while Optimus is within the Matrix, he finally is reunited with Sparky, who leads him through the ethereal halls of the Primes. Sparky is able to explain that their memories are being melded together as both of them are on the same journey. The infection from Megatron's arm is changing Optimus into a hateful, closed-hearted individual, just like the war had done to Sparky. Optimus must reject the past and forge a future ahead, into the light. Sparky is given the chance to reconnect with his son briefly, as yet again a comparison drawn on the page between the veteran and Optimus. Sparky holds Spike's face, just as Optimus holds those who he has lost: Bumblebee, Jetfire, and Ratchet. This is the moment of turning for our hero. This is when Optimus is able to let go of his past self and forge a new future for himself. He has been saved twice now by Sparky, and he will return the favor by forever taking care of Spike. With a renewed sense of spirit, Optimus yet again draws strength from his family to defeat Megatron and save humanity from ultimate doom. He no longer gives over to his rage, but rather uses a righteous anger to dispatch justice upon his arch-nemesis. Yet still in these moments, Optimus refuses to give in to Megatron's goading. He will not choose between killing the humans of Earth and his own Beachcomber. He will not choose to let one live and the other die. He must save them both. Again, something that Megatron finds to be utterly foolish. Megatron is defeated not by Optimus alone, but by the combined efforts of many who follow this Autobot leader. It's a contrast, really. Megatron barks commands and orders his troops to follow, even using a type of mind control on characters like Starscream. And because of this, he loses. Optimus is the opposite. His strengths come from others who choose to follow him, because they love him, because they are family. Something that Megatron finds to be a weakness. In the final moments of issue 24, we see the passing of the torch between Sparky and Optimus. Optimus's final vision is of Sparky the day of his son's birth, a moment that changes him forever. And with that memory now understood, Optimus cradles Spike in the exact same way he has been in his visions, only this time there is no corruption, there is no rage. Sparky is fully one with the Matrix now, and Optimus has become a father to Spike, a father to Earth. The Matrix glows again after so long being dormant. The light is small, yes, but it is mighty. The legacy already left by the character of Optimus Prime is legendary, to say the least. Optimus is a household name when it comes to heroes in pop culture media, and even if Transformers is not as popular as it was back in the mid-2000s, maybe 2010s, I think it's safe to say that people still know the name and image of Optimus Prime. He's a strong leader, and even more so, a wise fatherly figure. Daniel Warren Johnson stated many times before that he grew up on the original Generation 1 cartoon, and so the basis for his Optimus come from Peter Cullen's original interpretation of the character. G1 was wildly inconsistent when it came to storylines and animation, but Optimus himself was everyone's robot dad, and that tradition is carried on here through the comics. A younger, more troubled father to be sure, but one that we get to follow along as he grows in compassion, respect, and sheer willpower to overcome the forces of evil. After all, freedom is the right of every sentient being. By the end of issue 24, Daniel Warren Johnson has given us an Optimus who is not perfect. Rather, he has given us an Optimus who has grown. Once a warrior fueled by rage and hate, to a trepidatious guardian who wants only to help those less fortunate, and finally, arriving at the altruistic father that will go to war to protect his own children. Optimus was once naive in a way, but now he has grown into the leader we all need in our lives.